But what would you say to someone who wants to start their law firm, but they're not even from Florida? They don't have all these contacts.
I would tell you not to do it that way. I would tell you, pay your dues. Go work for someone. 1 or 2 years, and maybe even 3. Cut your teeth. Learn on their dime.
Hey there, hot messes. Welcome to Success of a Hot Mess, where we celebrate the art of juggling life's chaos and coming out on top. I'm Stacey Isaacs, your host and resident rock star lawyer, dance mom, and survivor. We're going to dive into candid conversations about conquering challenges, embracing our unique selves, and finding success in the beautiful mess of it all. Good morning, Amanda. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Amanda Demanda, who is a powerhouse personal injury attorney here in South Florida. You're based out of Miami, right?
Yes, we're out of Miami, but now we also have offices in Houston, Texas.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
How did that happen? What is your connection to Texas?
Well, I have an uncle and some relatives that live out there. They've lived there their whole life, and I just started to get cases there. I started to get called there because a lot of the Cuban community has kind of made a pocket for them in Houston. And they kind of know my brand, and they were calling me for accidents and trucking and stuff like that. So I gravitated to it.
That's very cool. I am going to have to tell my husband that I want to open up a Hawaii office.
Oh yeah, well, that would be great.
Okay, before we get into, how you got to where you are now, I have to ask, obviously Demanda is not your real last name, right?
Actually, as of October 25th, it officially is my last name. I changed it.
That's
and
amazing.
We're in the process of changing license, passport, everything. But it's not, it wasn't organically my last name. It was not my maiden last name or my married last name. But it took a life of its own in my community and kind of became my nickname. And I started practicing with that. And now it is my name. So.
Okay. But to state the obvious, demanda means demand. In
Spanish, it means lawsuit. It means I sue. It's the action of. So like ella demanda, or for anything, like I demand on your behalf, I demand for your rights, I demand justice, whatever. So it actually answers any question. So my slogans and my advertising is very simple in Spanish because it will say accident, question mark, Amanda Demanda, Amanda sues, Amanda fights. That's what that means.
Right.
So I could actually change that to whatever. Divorce, Amanda demands.
Right.
So,
but it also does happen to rhyme with Amanda.
It also does happen to rhyme.
It's catchy, and I think it's really genius.
Oh, thank you. I mean, people say, well, how do I do something like that? I'm like, well, that was kind of luck. Mm-hmm. Right? Because I was born with that name, and I tend to be a demanding person. But there are other ways to be creative with marketing names and things of that nature. But it kind of all came together because I am a very creative person. I did marketing before, and I love it. So I'm always looking for those things and the play on words. So
yeah, and so not just in our industry, but for any entrepreneur, branding is so crucial right now. If you're not branding, you're really not getting anywhere. So I just think just having that name, and it's very memorable, you really took off with that. Was your office created under that name, or was it just like the law offices of Amanda?
Well, no, I started on the defense. So I was I had not been married yet. So my name was Amanda Del Busto, which has always been Amanda D. Everyone call me Amanda D, so Amanda Demanda kind of is fine. But then I got married and I changed to Surreal, my last name, and then I was practicing. I left the defense to work at a small boutique trial firm doing plaintiff's work, and while I was there, I was just Amanda Surreal. So I was before judges and I was in court and filing things under that name. Then I went on my own, and I kind of brainstormed it with a lot of people, and it's interesting because I was around a lot of trial attorneys and maybe older people, and they were like, no, don't do something cheesy because it's gonna like dumb down your reputation as an attorney, as a trial attorney. So I kind of listened to that. So I was like, we did Serial Trial Firm for like 2 months. And I was like, no, I can't. I have to go on my gut instinct. So that was kind of the name of the PA. And then I did a fictitious name doing business as Amanda Demanda. And I remember meeting with even the first guy I met with to do my business cards. And I was like, I want a magenta, bright pink. I want an urgent color. I want to make a splash. I want to be memorable. I don't care if it's cheesy. I'll back it up with my good work. So the people who know me know my work, and the judges know that I could try a case. And so, and they were like, no, you should do a light pink. Are you sure? And I had to fight against a lot of people's opinions to get my vision out there. But I just had such a strong intuition that I'm like, I'm going to do it. Because I couldn't live with the what if. I'm not that type of person. I just do it and I stick to that decision, and I just push it all the way. So.
Yeah, when you mention the bright pink, it reminds me of when I got my first job as an attorney. You know, I wanted a pink suit. And no, you have to get navy. I said, no, I want to be sworn in to the bar in a pink suit. And they said it would take away from my credibility. I don't know if it did or didn't, but I don't regret it. And
well, I think now more and more women are in the field. So, like, who's the one passing judgment? Another woman? They don't see the pink suit as something that's less than, right? So,
right.
I mean, I think things are changing a lot, and because we are wearing the pink suit and because we are being vocal, I think things are opening up in a good way. So,
yeah, you know, when I was decorating my first office, of course, I hung up the degrees and the bar admission certificate, but I also sing in a band. So I wanted to hang up a big picture of me in the band. And a friend of mine at the time said, nobody wants a lawyer that this is what they're doing. Like, you need to make your office way more serious.
I think so contrary to that.
I do too.
And, you know, people will say things like that because they have that perceived knowledge themselves, but has anyone really focus group that or surveyed people?
Right.
And when you do, when you're out in the community, you actually realize that people want to know you're a person. So I think it's quite opposite of that. They want to see your kids' pictures. They want to know that you're a human, that you're going to sympathize with them. If I have moms that come to me that lost their kids in an accident, they want to know that I'm a mother. Or I've had clients that have had terrible disfigurements or scars, and they're women, and they want to know that the person representing them is going to try to communicate to the jurors that this scar makes me feel less than, because as a woman, we do like to look nice. Mm-hmm. So I do think that when they see you're a person, and those are the little ways at least we can try to communicate that we have a personality. So yeah, I ignore things like that, and it's worked for me.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. We have to humanize ourselves, so to speak, and the stigma of the female attorney who's just a bitch, like, I think that is long gone. That may have been the case, what people thought like 25 years ago, but we're a lot more. A lot of us are moms. A lot of us have hobbies. We are not just defined by the work that we do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a tough field. Attorneys don't have a good rap anyway, men or female.
Especially injury attorneys.
It's just like, you know, you're an ambulance chaser. You do whatever you need to get away with it. You're aggressive. I'm like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. But I try to counterbalance that with the work I do in the community by being very open and doing a lot of social media that's forward facing so that they can reach me. Like, I don't really care to be an influencer or have followers just for the sake of having followers. My social media and my outreach to the community is genuinely there so that people can see my website or hear my commercial and then go see, oh, she's real, she's there. It's just kind of to back it up. And I think that it's important to do that.
Yeah, so you're bringing me to my next question. Does your firm, you exclusively do personal injury, or do you do anything else?
No, we only do personal injury, and we stay in that lane.
Okay.
And we refer stuff out. I mean, we send stuff to you guys.
Yes,
I don't even do workers' comp. It's not my wheelhouse. I think that's a disservice to clients to try to spread myself thin and try to be an expert in everything, because people try to see there's a dollar sign at the end of things, and there isn't. If you don't have the margins, if you don't have the business model, you actually lose money, and your client doesn't get the best recovery. So I don't believe in that.
That's true. I think long gone are the days of the attorney that, general attorney that just does everything from divorce to personal injury.
Attorney at law.
Right.
I know.
I agree. And that's why we stay in our lane of workers' compensation. We send the personal injury to you. I don't want to try to learn personal injury at this stage, and I'm comfortable.
Yeah, I think people ignore what the learning curve on things are. And and what I do particularly from the car accidents to the person, but we also do negligent security or a lot, things that people don't think are personal injury, but they are. And many people who do other things will be like, well, if I get a car accident case, I'm going to keep it because there's money in there. There's money if you know what you're doing. You will lose money if you don't know what you're doing, because you're going to miss all the cues, all the things you need to do to prep a case correctly to get the evidence you need in the inception. So I do see sometimes clients call and they're being represented by a real estate attorney in a trucking accident. And the case had so much potential and now it's so far gone that I can't even help them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to step into that mess because then to undo it and manage their expectations, it's not ideal. So I don't believe in trying to do too many things.
So how did you, I know you said you came from the defense side, so did I. Did you, after working for that boutique law firm, you just said, I'm just going to hang a shingle? Like, did you have cases?
Yeah. So I did defense by default. I always knew I wanted to do torts, right? Which is the kind of law I do. But it's hard to jump. I mean, this was back 13 years ago. So the PI firms, it was hard to get into them being like a 1 year attorney, because they want you to go make money, bring cases, whatever. So that was the easier path to kind of just get a job and figure out what court is and go to motions. And I was defending big box stores, right? Our groceries down here, the retail stores. And I had the opportunity to work in torts, but from the other side. So I got to understand how they defend these lawsuits. And if I ever sued them, how I can figure out a case to be stronger. And then one of my opposing counsels ended up calling me one afternoon and said, you need to come work with me because you're so detailed, and the way that you argue and present things, like, you just would do so much better in the plaintiff side. So I went, and then 3 months in, he was like, do you want to manage my firm? He's like a 40-year attorney, and he has had, I don't know how many associates come and go. And I'm thinking, well, if this guy sees it in me, I must have what it takes. And I did it because I had been in business before doing marketing. So I understand how to organize an office, how to manage teams, how to move from paper to paperless. And I did all that at that firm while learning PI and while trying cases and doing it all. And I always told them, like, year 4 comes, I'm either, my name's on the door or I'm out. And it was the idea that we were going to have that conversation. And it was a December, and I was trying a case actually in West Palm Beach. So I was staying up there. And that week, he's like, you know what? It's December. We should talk about this so we could start the new year ready to go. And he sends me in the middle of trial one night, hey, check your email. And there's a contract in there. And I see it, and it's like a non-compete employee contract. I'm like, this guy has me messed up. Like, that's not going to happen. And I learned a lot from him as an attorney. But I also learned a lot as, like, what I would not want to run my business like, just because as attorneys, we're not taught to be business people. So it takes a lot to try to figure that stuff out. And there was just a lot of things I would change. And I realized at that moment, like, you can't, what did they say? You can't teach new tricks to an old dog. Like, he's just like stuck in his ways. So I was like, I'm going to have to go on my own. And I had to rip that Band-Aid. It was very painful because I was not ready to do it. You're never going to be ready, but I really thought we would partner. And I would have him like the mentor wisdom.
And all his cases, right?
Well, at this point, I'm the one originating cases.
Okay. And how is that happening?
Because I'm born and raised in Miami. I have 25 first cousins. And I just start talking to people. Word of mouth spreads like fire, And I started putting out my little settlements or my little trial verdicts up on my social, even on my personal stuff, and just talking to people and going out to network, which I had never done before. And I always tell everybody, it's a problem if you go into your own family parties and they don't know what you do. At least everyone in that room needs to know exactly what you do and dumb it down. To be like, I do catastrophic injury. People are like, all right, they go get another glass of wine. They don't understand what that is. You need to be like, if you're ever in a rear end bumper to bumper in an accident, you can call me. Like, just break it down.
But what would you say to someone who wants to start their law firm, but they're not even from Florida? They don't have all these contacts.
I would tell you not to do it that way. I would tell you, pay your dues. Go work for someone. 1 or 2 years, and maybe even 3. Cut your teeth. Learn on their dime.
See, I don't know if you know, but David, William, and I was working defense. They were at a Miami firm, but we literally had no cases. We were at the dining room table being like, how are we going to get cases? We made a list of personal injury attorneys, and like I just started calling them.
Yeah.
But we didn't have all those contacts. But I could see how having 25 cousins is, or one person tells their whole entire church. I've had clients do that for me, which is very nice. If
word of mouth really works when you have no budgets to advertise. And I started that way. Even when I was at this boutique firm, because we would only get cases from the other big volume attorneys, that the cases that were just crap
that they didn't want. But I'm very creative, and I put up a good fight, so I'm not gonna lose. So I'd made chicken salad out of chicken shit, right? And then these attorneys would be like calling their whole team in, and how did we let this one slip through the cracks? And how did Amanda get a slip and fall from us and made $1 million on it? And I was like, because the case was shit. It was shit when you sent it to me, but just because I made it that. But then what those referral sources would do, instead of being like, damn, let's send her some of those other ones where we all make money, they'd be like, well, we're going to want more percentage from you. And then I was like, oh, how's that a deal? So I started realizing that. And also we were getting those cases because it was my ex-partner's contacts. He has the gray hairs. He's the old guy that's going to go try it, even though I was trying them. But I didn't have those contacts. Something happens to him. And so I realized I needed to go out there and start getting my little cases and doing my thing. And I did that by word of mouth and just talking about myself nonstop. Like when I go in a room, I would wear bright pink. I would be loud. You would remember me. Even if they were like, man, that girl was annoying. She didn't shut up. I'm like, good. You're talking about me, I think Coco Chanel said the same thing.
Yeah.
But so you had some contacts. You were really good at making sure everybody knew what you do. And the cases just...
So I go on my own, and we split the case. Basically, I had a good chunk of cases. I had at least 100 cases I could walk with. They were my originations. So, but I had to cut a deal because I had worked them there. And then, you have charging liens. And I call it like a 2-year divorce. Because until the case is kind of settled and all went through whatever they needed to go through, it is what it is. But I learned a lot from that. I used to be a baby shark. Now I'm a grown shark. And I know one thing. I never want to have a partner. Not in equity. I just
Willie
don't.
and David, don't listen to that part. No,
yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, I'll talk to them.
Listen, when we were partnering up, first of all, everyone said don't work with your spouse. We know other lawyers that wound up divorced working. Somehow we've made it work. We just had our 10-year work anniversary. And we do have William, who's the third partner. He's sort of like the mediator between us. But do you work with your spouse?
Yes, my husband works in the firm, but he's not an attorney. So he kind of runs more of like the admin, IT, office space, more of the admin stuff, closing departments.
Okay. So
stuff like
have
that.
you had to navigate any issues working with your spouse, or has that been smooth sailing?
It's been smooth sailing. I think we have a healthy relationship, and that when we are in our work hats, we respect each other, and like we'll have meetings where it's very clear. Our roles are very clear as far as like they can have opinions. And my sister's my COO, and I took her from Deloitte. She's a top tax partner, and I'm like, you need to come over. So our C-suite is my family, but everyone will have their opinions. We kind of give her things, but they know if I make a decision, I make a decision, and they just go with it.
Okay.
And that works. Like, obviously they're going to have opinions or maybe tweak things, and I listen to it because I want that opinion, but we really try to not disrespect each other, undercut each other. And when it's work, it's very separate from home. And our job titles and responsibilities are so different. It's not like we're working on a case together and we're fighting on what the theme for trial is going to be. That would be difficult for me,
right?
With my husband, but he kind of has his own job.
Is he an attorney?
No.
Okay.
No.
That might help somewhat.
So he doesn't get into like, I wouldn't have argued like that.
But when you say, when we have our work hats on, we have them on. But what I find is like, we really never take our work hats off.
Well, that's true.
You're home, a client's calling,
Yeah.
And it can be challenging.
Oh no, it's a challenge for sure. I don't recommend it to people that don't have, that already struggle with either communications with their partner or setting aside time for family. My husband and I are very good about when we're present with the kids, that's our present time with them. So we put stuff in boxes, but not everyone has that. But we also understand when we have to work on a weekend or a night or answer a call, it's our livelihood.
Got to pay the bills.
So
when you say
it's a family affair for sure.
When you say boxes, do you mean literally you put your phones in boxes?
No,
Okay.
not literally, but I'm pretty good at like disconnecting.
Okay. Yeah. We have to work on that in this house. But Amanda, what do you do for fun when you're not working?
I like going to my son's little league games, my daughter's gymnastics. My kids are priority and every sense of the words. And we like boating. We go to the Keys a lot. We like outdoor stuff. I love doing outdoor stuff because it physically exhausts you to the point that you can't think about work.
Yeah.
So we fish, boat, and just do family stuff. Or just hang out at my parents' house and do barbecue. A lot of the things we do are very family oriented. And we travel a lot, but with family. So that's kind of our hobbies. How about you? You do the same?
I sing in a band, so that's my hobby, but my kids are the priority, but I still feel like I get judgment for that. I will skip a business meeting. I will if I have to take a daughter to the doctor or to a dance competition or a track meet, and I am unapologetic about that because I really feel that, when you're lying there on your deathbed, really nobody cares how many. The only people who will remember how many hours you worked are your kids and your spouse.
Yeah.
Your clients, nobody's going to remember how hard you worked on their case, So
that's true.
It is a balancing act, but that's one thing that I do prioritize. It sounds like you do as well.
I do. My kids, though, are very involved in, like, they understand the business. Like, if I'm shooting a commercial, they're on set. And, I make it fun for them. Like, I let them look at the cameras. I, try to involve them in things so that they don't feel like mom's away at work or something like that. And I'm trying to obviously have a succession plan with them to try to make them attorneys.
Oh, you do? It's funny. I tell mine, don't go to law school.
Oh, no, I'm the opposite. I'm trying to build an empire nationwide, and you can't leave it to anybody. Law firms are not like a factory that you just kind of leave in the family. You need attorneys.
No, that's a very, very good point. I just, we have, I think, 6 lawyers in our family. I said, it's time somebody goes to medical school.
Well, I'm the first lawyer, so
that's a big deal.
That's
Congratulations.
a big deal.
Yeah.
I didn't immediately jump into law right after I graduated from University of Miami, even though I was going to take the LSAT, because I was like so scared of what does a lawyer do? How do they make money? Literally, I had no idea what their day-to-day looks like. My mom worked at my elementary school her whole life. My dad's a construction worker, and I knew no lawyers. So
I went to University of Miami as well, but probably before you. And a little fun fact is that I majored in Spanish there, and I'm just a Jewish girl from New Jersey. And
there's a lot of Jersey girls there.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Cuban girls there who also majored in Spanish. But
I had a minor in Spanish literature.
So when you major in Spanish, it's literature. It wasn't conversational.
Yeah.
So
it's literature.
I can barely speak Spanish anymore. It's somewhat embarrassing that I majored in it and I can hardly speak. Plus, I have the terrible gringa accent. But
I just took the Spanish literature minor because it was like easy.
Easy for you, right? Right.
I spoke Spanish first. I was born in Miami and spoke Spanish first. I got to kindergarten. I was an ESOL.
What does that mean?
ESOL is
the
first.
English as a second.
Yeah, well, you got to learn English because I didn't speak English when I went
to. Were you born here?
Yes.
And you didn't speak English?
No.
That's
at home we
amazing
speak
to me.
Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so do your kids speak Spanish?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Try to speak to them in Spanish all the time. But it's difficult because obviously now everything I do is in English. And well, it's Spanish with my work, but we're really trying hard to have them speak Spanish only at home.
It'll definitely be beneficial for them.
Yeah.
So what is a big piece of advice you would give somebody who wants to start a law firm? It doesn't have to be personal injury, but someone who just wants to be a mompreneur, so to speak.
I would recommend they work somewhere else first. Go work at the place you would like to own and see how they run it or how they don't run it or what you would do different, but really immerse yourself in the work it takes, because just being a business owner is not just a title. It comes with a lot of things you can't even imagine. But don't just go somewhere to be an employee and kind of get stuck in the wheel. Like, go with intention. Like I did. I knew I went to the defense side just to learn how these places operated so then I know how to sue them.
Were you with a carrier or a firm?
No, a big firm. They have all different type of clients. And then at some point they started trying to give me like first party property defense work, like the hurricane claims and stuff. And I was like, no, this is not for me. I don't want to do that. That doesn't move me.
And you said you always wanted to do tort.
Well, I figured it out in law school, but I didn't know that. Right. Like I said, I didn't know what lawyers did, and I didn't know what options there were. And then I was just like, screw it, I want to be a lawyer. Just like, I think more for my ego. I want to be a lawyer. I just want to say I'm a lawyer, and because I always wanted that. And then in law school, I kind of started to figure things out.
Did you, when you first started practicing, I don't know if you had this experience, but I would show up at a deposition and people would ask if I was the interpreter, the court reporter.
Yeah, things like that have happened when I was, younger, but not often. I did have, like, for example, one time I was at a hearing in person, and an older gentleman, attorney, he was like, no, that's not how, we're not going to do that or something, sweetie. And I just looked, and then he felt so bad. And I honestly didn't even take it. I thought he looked like a grandpa. So I thought he was just being, and he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I take it back. And I felt almost bad for him because I'm like, I didn't even take it the bad way. I was like, all right, cool.
Sweetie's not that bad.
But yeah, there are occasions like that. And you could take it how you want. I have a different mindset. Like, if you think little of me, that's on you, kind of thing. And I never let it penetrate. It's funny because when I started advertising, right? So now buying ads, buying billboards, I would hear someone say, oh, so-and-so, who's a big ad buyer, was talking about your board and whatever. And I was like, no way, I'm not that important. I'm like this big next to their empire. And then, so I would just let it slide. Like, I don't take it like something's going to happen. And then later on when I confirmed it, they were talking about me. Then I was like, damn, you're that small, So whatever way, I think it's a mindset thing.
That's for sure.
I just take it for what it is. I'm like, well, you think little of me, great. Let me show you how this court reporter is going to take this depo and how you're going to pay me now.
Well, they say no publicity is bad publicity. So yeah. If they're talking about you, you're doing something right.
I think it's just a mindset. A lot of people will be like, well, they called me sweetie, and then they all internalize that, and they're trying to figure out what that means. And maybe that person didn't even mean it in a bad way, or they really just were confused because you look young and pretty and you look like a court reporter, who cares? I don't take it that way.
I remember it used to annoy me after a while.
Yeah.
The whole like, oh, you're the assumption that I was the court reporter. Because we go to school, we take the bar exam, I wanted more respect, and I said, that's it. I'm going to walk into these depositions. I'm not carrying the big list of questions anymore, because that was like a dead giveaway that you were a newbie. Yeah. I just committed them to memory, walked in and did my deposition.
Yeah. Well, good for you. I mean, everyone has different mechanisms I always try to play like, oh, well, I need all these lists, because just little old me. I'm a new attorney, not like you.
So
50
you want to
years.
Surprise them, right?
You're still sitting at a desk doing the same shit I'm doing.
That's true. That's true.
I patronize them,
Yeah.
And they don't even notice. I'm like, well, I got to read them because I lose my train of thought. Bullshit. I know exactly what I'm doing, but I like to play that sometimes. It doesn't hurt.
You'd be good on the show Big Brother. Have you ever seen it?
I know about it. I haven't really watched it, but
because if you go in there playing like a dumb blonde and they don't know you're an attorney, like you could probably win the whole thing. Yeah.
I try to be like, oh man, really? That's how that works? I didn't know. And then I get up to argue and they're like,
that's awesome. I love that. How do you deal with haters, or do you not have any?
Oh no, haters have fueled my whole life.
Yeah, mine too, but I don't
deal with them. I let them deal with themselves. I mean, I'm like so focused. I genuinely mean this when I say I don't compete with anyone but myself. I don't have competitors. I meet with people about like marketing. Who are your competitors? And I'm like, well, I could tell you who else is in the industry, right. But I don't consider them a competitor because whoever's going to call me is not going to call them. And I saw something completely different. And I genuinely operate from that. So I'm always trying to see how can I better my brand or my commercial or my message or my systems or my customer service. Not like, oh, so-and-so does that. I'm going to try to do that. Because then it's not genuine.
That's true.
So it's just a different mindset.
So you're confident.
But I do have haters. Absolutely. There's a target on my back.
But do you get nasty comments on your social media?
I don't read them. Probably. I have. yeah, people will say things about, how I look, or are you really capable? Or she says she could do this, but it's not true.
So you just let it slide. Don't even read the comment section.
No, I don't care.
I like that.
I just really don't care. It's funny because I was talking to when I was kind of breaking up with my old partner, and I was like, look, this is, and I'm like, because you took out some people to talk shit on me while I was on maternity leave for 2 weeks before trying a case. And I didn't appreciate that because they all came back to me because we all know each other in the industry, and I introduced you to those doctors. So it's interesting you would take them out to talk shit on me. And I was like, I really care because my reputation. And he looked at me, he's like, Amanda, you don't care about what anybody thinks. And I'm like, actually, you're right. I don't. But I'm just letting you know that I know that you did that.
Right.
You know? So don't try to be cute. But I just really never cared. You know, some people go somewhere and say something, and later they'll like be like, man, I shouldn't have said that, or that came off wrong, and they have that remorse. And I've talked to my friends about that. Like, I'm like, why? Why do you feel like that? I've never felt that. And I don't feel that, you know, because I just can't hide who I am or what I felt that moment. And I don't think it does this any justice to dwell on something that's already done.
Yeah, but Amanda, your next level evolved because it's very hard to, I would love to have that.
Well, lean
mindset.
on me. Lean on me.
Yeah. I mean, the hate and you, I don't want to call it hate, but I can feel those who want me to succeed, those who celebrate my success, and the ones that don't like to see it. I mean, you could feel it.
Of course. But that's always going to be there. You're not going to make everyone happy. But the truth of the matter is, the ones that are trying to bring you down or make you feel any type of way is because their life sucks.
Well, I know
and that's personal to them.
Right. I read a meme that said, have you ever met a hater doing better than you?
No. Yeah.
Exactly. So...
But I just don't give him the credit. But oh my God, does it fuel me? Oh my God, yes.
So you use it as fuel.
I'm like, that's interesting that you had that much time in your life to talk about me. And I'm like, what was your name again?
Okay, know? But let's say it's a client that, because I know you do an amazing job, but we all have the rogue client that you didn't even know wasn't happy and then writes a terrible review. Yeah. What would you do in that scenario? Would that get to you?
I call them. Oh, when they dump my firm for whatever reason, I call them. And then they'll give me their reasons, and I'll let them know how I feel. I just let it off my chest. I'm like, well, you know, I wish you the best, but I am not going to reduce my charging lien. Don't come to me when that attorney screws up your case because I know who you're going to. And I just give it to them straight. You know, my clients are Hispanic people that are very vocal sometimes, so I'll be vocal back with them. And some of them sometimes have been like, wow, I appreciate that. Like, you treat me. And I'm like, well, that's why you hired me. Because to be just like you and tell you back, like, you're making a mistake or doing something. But most of the times the clients are just upset because they didn't get enough money, and it's not my fault that the other guy didn't have enough insurance or that they didn't buy insurance for themselves. So when they get angry about that, I said, but you're pissed because that guy who had to drop your case didn't have insurance, but you didn't insure yourself.
Right. So
you're just as much like as a lawbreaker or, you know, trying to get by as that person. So what do you want me to do? And then they kind of just have nothing else to say. But I don't get people writing comments necessarily about my persona.
Yeah, not persona, but, you know, oh, they didn't get back to me. When you know your firm is good with communication, sometimes we'll just have somebody like that, and we try to ask them to change the review, but they're just unhappy people. So
yes, they're unhappy people, but there is, you know, cute responses you could write that kind of says like, I'm sorry you feel this way. We don't see your name anywhere in our registry.
I've done that.
Like,
I know. I'm like,
thank you. Or because really sometimes we don't know who it is.
Yeah, because they write it under a fake name.
But we also have haters who report our good comments or our good reviews to Google, and then Google takes them down. Because we've been having issues with that. We've tracked all the Google reviews we get from our clients and stuff, and it's into the thousands, and it only reflects like 400 because like they take them down. And we've spoken to Google, and they're like, sometimes people report it and Google just has a system and takes it down. And I'm like, well, that's, someone has a lot of time in their hands. But that's a good sign to me then. But because whatever they're doing, spending time on taking me down, they're not doing time building their business. So
exactly. I really like your spin on it. I think you know, it's a good...
It's wasted time to them.
Yeah, it's a good lesson. So I congratulate you on all of your success. I hope
thank you. Tell me about your band.
Coming.
What kind of...
So the band is a cover band, so we don't do any original music. We all have day jobs, but it's something that we all love to do. So it's 6 of us. It's called Hot Mess.
I love it.
We perform locally. In fact, we will be delving into Dade County. I have a gig in Doral. I don't even know how long that will take from here, but...
Oh, it's not that long. 40 minutes probably.
Okay. Yeah, it's fun. And it's an outlet because I'm sure you know that what we do is, you're arguing a lot and we all need a way to vent. So for me, I like performing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think my outlet, which ends up being my work, is my creative and my marketing and doing commercials and things like that. I love that because I studied broadcast production and I did marketing. So that's kind of something I like.
Did you study broadcasting at Miami?
Yes.
Because that was my major initially, and then I thought it was too hard, and I switched to Spanish.
I did broadcast production with a double major in poli-sci and a minor in Spanish literature. And I used to produce and run the TV show at UM.
Yeah, that was a great school for communications. But
yeah.
I just kind of decided I wanted to go to law school, and I was like, I'm getting out of this. But my initial aspiration was to be a news reporter.
Really?
Yeah.
Like an anchor? Or,
yeah, just...
I never wanted to be on TV because I can't read a prompter.
Okay.
Because I'm dyslexic, so I can't read a prompter. And reading aloud a script, I can't. So I commit a lot to memory.
Wow, so you passed the bar and you're dyslexic. How was that? Was that challenging?
No, I mean, being dyslexic just means you learn different. You just read different. So I learned how I learned a very long time ago, and I worked very hard at it. So, but whatever. It takes me a long time to read. That's why I listen to books. But I never used that as a crutch. I never had it my diagnosis to get more time on tests or anything. I never even knew about that.
That's a thing now.
I just kind of fought through it. I thought it was normal. I thought other people struggle with other things, So, and I just work how my brain works, which is been finding out not that normal. So.
Do you cook for your family?
No, I don't have time to cook.
Okay, same. And I just
I don't have time to cook.
Sometimes I feel,
I can cook. It's not it's foreign to me. I could bake. And my mom taught me, but it's just so much time.
So who cooks for the kids?
The nanny will cook for them. I don't really eat big dinners. I forget to eat sometimes, so I just grab sandwich, ham and cheese, go, or we order in. But
okay, so I feel a little less ashamed because I'm just literally too busy. Plus, I really don't enjoy it.
No, I don't enjoy it.
I hate the cleanup part.
I hate the cleanup part. It's a lot. Don't feel bad about it. I mean, and then I heard someone say it when I was what? It's well, why would I take, there's chefs and cooks out there. They need a job too. That we shouldn't take their job. Let them do their job. I'll hire them to cook at my house.
And they get injured and that brings me business. So yeah.
So, I don't feel bad about it. When anybody tries to pass on to me, what they judge as being a bad characteristic or something to downplay, I'm just well, that's your personal look on it. I justify things in my mind.
I like it. So how can listeners find your firm?
Well, they can Google Amanda Demanda. I should be the only one coming up unless someone's buying my name, which they shouldn't be. But we're on, my website's amandademanda.com. My phone number is 844-DEMANDA. All our social media handles are Amanda Demanda. So,
are you on TikTok?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming here today.
This was fun.
It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Likewise.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Success of a Hot Mess. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a beat. And hey, sharing is caring. Share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a dose of inspiration. Until next time, keep rocking those hot mess moments with style and grace. Cheers.